Hi, I'd like to welcome you all to a new podcast, Youshouldsexit. And it doesn't matter if you are here by accident or you spent your last months trying to find the perfect place for you. I hope that you will stay with me much longer. With Nina. Recently, I've started working on my new project, my new dream project, which required a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of passion. And this podcast is a big part of this project. I can now invite you all to visit my Instagram and my website. There you will be able to find the main part of my work, which is my articles, but also on Instagram you will be able to find some extra material like photos, graphics, behind the scenes videos and stuff like that. Now I'd like to apologize you all for my accent or for some small mistakes I make, because English is not my first language. Actually, I'm Polish and I also record this podcast in Polish. And in general, the project Youshouldsexit will be bilingual. I will have one platform for my Polish audience and one for my English audience. So if you'd like to, start learning Polish, which I doubt, you can visit my Polish part of Youshouldsexit. Now let me tell you what I'll be talking and writing about. All of my articles, my podcast, my graphics, all of the stuff will be about relations, about emotions, but also about body, about sex. So if it sounds like new Carrie Bradshaw, you are right. That's my big inspiration. And if someone prefers listening than reading, I think that you should stay here with me. But also, if you want to read those articles, you can visit my website, as I said before. So I think that I said everything I needed to say by now. I hope that you will enjoy my approach to the topics, and I hope that you will enjoy me talking for 20 minutes straight. So okay, let's go to the first topic now. Okay, so today we will be talking about romance. I will be wondering if romance is still alive, if romance is a real thing, and if we can count on some romantic gestures from our partner, or maybe it's all in vain. So I started thinking about it much before thinking about Youshouldsexit, mainly because I've always loved observing people on the streets. I loved, and I still love, wondering what is their history, who they were when they were younger, how they behave on everyday basis, how is their relationship. I just love observing how people behave when they think that they are not watched by anyone, but there am I'm watching them, and I'm trying to create my own history, my own story of them in my head. And actually, the biggest trigger for, let's say, my wondering about romance was seeing two very old people on the tram when I was going to my high school. And they were an extremely beautiful couple. And by saying beautiful, I don't mean their appearance. They just showed their love to each other. They were super affectionate. They kissed. The man helped his wife get off the tram, which was super touching. And I was standing in a tram, and somehow I started feeling small tears coming out of my eyes. Because actually you don't see that often. You don't see older people being so affectionate in public places. And what also triggered me to writing this article was that I think that I'm a good listener, and many of my friends ask me for advice, or maybe if they don't seek advice, they just like telling me about their problems, and I try not to judge them. I just listen, and by listening, I gain many perspectives. I realize that people will have completely different approaches to the same topics, and that my approach isn't the only one. So because of that, I have a more objective point of view on most of the topics, but by listening to all those stories, by observing all those people, I realized also that I can start by wondering what is romance, what are the most romantic gestures, and stuff like that. I have to start by asking myself if romance is still alive. I think that I should start with pop culture. The problem is that we got stuck in a reality based on pop culture. And we are stuck in it, and we don't really know how to get out. To be clear, I'm not saying that pop culture is bad. I don't support only high culture. Going to the theater or to the opera isn't my new Friends marathon. Actually, my guilty pleasure is watching Naked Attraction. So, I really enjoy pop culture. But I think that watching all those programs, all those movies, scrolling through Instagram every day isn't the best for us. And I don't mean that our sight gets worse or that our posture is fucked up. I think that all those pop cultural cliches are deep in our subconsciousness and they can control us whenever and however they want. And what is interesting, I don't think we even realize that they are inside us. For example, your man asks you to marry him, and instead of enjoying this moment, which is pretty cool, you realize that someone did it much better in a Nepalese romantic comedy from 1998. And it sucks. Because I think that it steals our joy from small moments. We can't enjoy those small gestures. We can enjoy our partner, our friend, our mother, our father, but also we can't fully enjoy ourselves. But maybe let's forget for a second about pop culture, and please now take a moment to think how many times your boyfriends, girlfriends, your partners, but also your friends or your family did something extremely nice for us. But instead of being super happy about it, we were thinking that our friend got a better gift, that our friend went to Maldives, not to Paris for holidays, for example, and that someone has a better life. It only makes us more angry, more upset, while we shouldn't be. And I think that we should remember that very often people who are perfect on Instagram, who are beautiful, who have beautiful houses, beautiful gardens, beautiful life in general, very often have a big mess around them in real life. And now I think that we have another problem, because we also have TikTok and Instagram. And I think that you all heard, or maybe you all saw, a trend on TikTok about romanticizing your life. And technically, it's nothing bad. Because I think that everyone wants to make their lives more exciting, more beautiful. But how possibly could you make your daily activities more exciting? I would say that by surrounding yourself with people you love, eating good food, developing your interests, not even close. According to social media, you need to wear your beige dress, grab a basket filled with fresh fruits, then run barefoot on a field during sunset with your boyfriend, who happens to be wearing a beige linen suit and holds a vintage camera. I would say that it's not surprising that we can no longer enjoy small gestures, and a simple "I love you" doesn't impress us. I think that we can say big thanks to the pandemic for saving us from the love numbness. Whether we liked it or not, we were stuck in our houses. We couldn't see each other as much as we wished, and we all had to face new problems. So we were somehow forced to treat watching a movie together as our new fancy date in a fancy restaurant. For me personally, the biggest lesson wasn't pandemic. It was actually a long distance relationship, because when you don't have your partner for 2 months straight, then watching an animated movie together and eating crisps is the most romantic thing you can imagine. So actually, at this point, I can answer the titular question. I think that romance is alive, and moreover, it's in a pretty good shape. But the problem is that We decide it. Every day we wake up, we can make this decision. If we decide that romance is dead, then it will be dead. But if we decide that drinking a coffee together in the morning is the most romantic thing ever, then our relationship will be more romantic than all Disney princesses altogether. But here we encounter another struggle, let's say, because nothing can be done without effort. To drink this coffee together, someone has to wake up earlier to prepare this coffee. To eat fresh rolls in the morning, someone has to get up early and go buy them. And I think that it's a difficult matter because most people think that relations in general, friendships, but also romantic relationships, should work automatically. But the truth is that they never do. So often we hear stories from long-term partners about the spark they used to have, about all those amazing dates, about having sex all night, going on trips, cuddling all the time, and repeating how much they love each other. And now they are arguing over who is throwing out the rubbish, cleaning the bathroom, or, for example, in their leisure time, they just sit. And when we reach this phase in our relationship, then we start treating each other as flatmates. And I think that if you want to treat your partner as a flatmate, it's better to get a regular flatmate because you can do all the cleaning, shopping, cooking together, but you don't have the responsibility of saying I love you to someone. You don't have the responsibility of sharing your emotions with someone, and you don't have to care so much about this person. So I think that we should be really careful because we can easily cross the line between cuddling in the same bed to sleeping in the same bed with a person we barely know. And now again, to be clear, doing nothing together can be so great. I love those moments, but it's super easy to go from acute boredom to a killing routine. My observations showed one more reason why we often hear about the romance crisis, and this problem is actually rooted deep in us and has nothing to do with romantic relationships. And the problem is that we believe that our opinions, that our mindsets are the best. They're the only acceptable options. For example, if we think that skinny jeans are unfashionable, then everybody who wears them should end up in a fashion hell. Not to mention religion and politics, because, it shows the problem perfectly. We can't even talk politely with someone who has different religious or political beliefs. We just start fighting with them, even subconsciously. So it works exactly like that in relationships. For example, if we find neatness important, we will force our second half to care about it as well. We don't realize that maybe this person doesn't care about that. If we care about that, it's absolutely okay, it's nothing wrong with that. But maybe for our partner, cooking good food is more important than cleaning. It may happen. If we try to force our mindsets on other people, on our partner in this case, we may be so disappointed. But also, we may leave the other person feeling that they are not enough. We can destroy them a little bit. And while doing my research, one of my friends told me about a book called The 5 Love Languages: How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, written by Gary Chapman. And I know it sounds a little bit cringy, but the friend of mine gave me a wholesome summary of this text, and I think that she won't be mad if I quote her right now. It says that there are 5 types of love language, and we all have our own. But sometimes relationships don't work because we don't understand that our partner doesn't think the same way we do. For example, I give you flowers and offer you gifts every week. It makes you happy, but your love language is more composed of physical touch. You may think that someone doesn't love you or doesn't care enough, when very often they just don't use the same love language as you do. And these words may seem very obvious, but the truth is that they aren't for many of us. I try to remember about it every day. And I guess that's the reason for the lack of frustration and stupid conflicts in my relation. I understand that we are two different individuals. And of course, we declare something to each other. We declare that we will support each other, that we love each other, that we want to go through life with each other, but it doesn't make us a two-headed monster. Romance is also an interesting topic for me because its existence and perception depend on more than one person. So the truth is that our partner can influence our attitude towards it enormously. Our partner can open some inner doors that we didn't know that existed. For example, what we used to perceive as rather stupid turns out to be desired and beautiful. I was the person who made sarcastic comments whenever I saw a couple kissing on the street, whenever someone told me about their relationship, about writing each other poems, giving each other gifts and stuff like that. I was always like, oh my God, I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, how can you sacrifice a part of you? It sounds bad, but it gives the point. How can you sacrifice a part of you for your partner? How can you do it? I'm a self-made 16-year-old. I don't need this shit. I was very ironic about it, but mainly because I wanted my friends and my family to see me as a strong, self-made girl who will only strive for her career, who won't get feelings towards anyone. And it was stupid because it's absolutely not true. I mean, I just needed a right person, a perfect person for me, who would change that. And now I'm the one who's doing all the stuff I thought was, too cute, obnoxious, and made me want to vomit. So from my experience, I learned not to look at those throwing sarcastic comments and looking at you strangely, because they have their reasons. Maybe they just have different approach to relationships, to love. Maybe they are jealous. Maybe they just broke up with someone and they are sad and they cover their sadness with anger. There are thousands of reasons. But I think that we should just keep doing what we think is right. And we shouldn't be afraid of expressing emotions towards our partner. And recently I read a piece of advice saying to love in privacy because people can fuck everything up. And I believe it's true, somehow, because a simple stop cuddling all the time, or no, it's too cute, it makes me nauseous, oh my God, please go to the bedroom, stuff like that. It's innocent. I think that very often when friends say it, they don't mean anything bad. They want the best for us. But those phrases always destroy the moment and discourage people from exposing their feelings. We can then get lost. Because from one side we hear that young people only have shallow love, they post a photo on Instagram and in reality they hate each other. And from the other side we hear that we overreact and that we should diminish our romantic gestures and show them only in the bedroom. And I also had, and actually I still have, many problems with manifesting my love next to my family and friends. And again, probably because I want them to see me as someone I'm not, as someone who is very strong and independent. While of course, I think that I'm strong and independent, but I can be strong and independent having someone I love and having someone I care about. So I try to learn it with every taking of my boyfriend's hand, every kiss, and every I love you said out loud. And let me just tell you that it's not easy at all. Now let me tell you something about the outcomes of my small research among my friends. I asked everyone for questions to get a wider perspective on the topic. And the first question was about the most romantic thing they have ever experienced. And here I can distinguish two groups. The first told me about some specific events, like a picnic, a trip, eating out in a restaurant, stuff like that. And the second one opted for more prosaic moments, like cuddling or helping when it gets tough. Actually, the majority was in the second group, which took me by surprise because I was kind of sure that most of my friends will give me more specific events, something more cliche, but many of them used phrases like small gestures, short moments, long talks, and being affectionate. And I think it's really cute because I also think that that's what makes romance. And of course, I also remember about some very stereotypically, let's say, romantic moments from my life. For example, when my boyfriend wrote me a song and played it for me. But of course, it was beautiful. And, still I'm smiling when I think about it. But I think that deeply in my heart, I appreciate the small moments more when we're just cuddling or being around each other. It was quite similar for the next question about the most romantic thing that you can imagine someone doing for you. The small difference was that in this case, the most common answer was a surprise trip. So something more specific. And interestingly, only one person marked sex as a potentially romantic thing. But actually, it's a topic for another article. If we perceive sex as something romantic or definitely not. And now I think that the titular question can be perfectly summarized by the fact that 16 out of 20 interviewed people would call themselves romantics, even those who I found very unlikely to answer so. And here at the end, I will quote again one of my friends who summed up what is all the fuss about romance. When you meet the right person from whom you just want to do all the romantic stuff, then there's no escape from romance. Okay, so now I'd like to thank you all for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that maybe it made you think about some stuff I said. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me. All good. So again, I invite you to my Instagram, to my website, but also to my other social media. Everything will be linked. And I also would like to ask you for a small favor. If you can share the podcast and this project in general, because I'm just starting. So I think that it would be great, of course, if you liked it, to share it with your friends, with your family, but also with your pets. I hope that in the future I will be able to talk about more controversial topics, about topics that interest most people, most of my audience. And I'm also planning to start doing interviews with people with a different mindset or maybe with interesting experience, because I'd like to make Youshouldsexit as diverse as possible. I want to make it a place for everyone, and I want to make it a place with no taboo. Okay, so one more time, I'm ending this podcast right now so that it's not too long. Again, I hope you enjoy it, and I also hope to see you next week on another topic, in another podcast. And again, I want to invite you on my Instagram and official website.